I'm 13 years old. It's the 90s, and I'm getting ready for my very first slumber party. It's a big deal because I had really struggled to make friends all the way through elementary school and middle school. And I know a lot of us did that, right? Like we were weird and we didn't really fit in and we didn't really get along with people. But I was like really weird. I'm gonna give some examples. So, for example, I would play this game called Plague. And you might wonder what the game Plague would be like. Well, first of all, you need at least 3 people. And a dark closet. So you need a closet. Imagine that's your thatch shed. And then you have the person with the plague, the person who's trying to take care of the person with the plague, and then the person who is walking outside the closet saying, "Bring out your dead. Bring out your dead." Ideally, in a perfect scenario, there would be 10 other people outside the closet laying in a pile that then the person who's taking care of the person with the plague would drag them out, add them to the pile, and then we would have a body bonfire. The problem is that if that is the type of game you want to play with your friends when they come over to your house, they don't come back. And that was just kind of how I was, which made it hard to keep and maintain friendships. And the thing is, this didn't happen in a vacuum. I had something really awful happen to our family. I had a sibling die at home. And so while other kids were using play to explore like what it would be like to be a policeman, or what would it be like to, raise children, or all the things that kids kind of do to like live action play being a grown-up, I was like, what would it be like to die? And that is, makes it hard to be friends. But then something incredible happened when I turned 13 years old. Everybody hit puberty, and they all got fucking weird too. And then suddenly, I'm their queen. I'm sitting at the cafeteria, and all these girls are sitting around me, and they're like, so when the people had tuberculosis and they were spitting in the blue bottles, and I'd be like, well, it was called a sputum flask, and they were blue, and if you want to play a game, we can all use our blue Clearly Canadian bottles, and we can pretend to have TB too. And then they would also, my friends were starting to dip their toe into like existentialist poetry and like sort of like the dark macabre. And I was there for it because I had been practicing it for a while. So one day when my friend Caroline comes up to me and she goes, "Hey, can I come over to your house to spend the night?" I go, "Sure, you totally can." And by the end of the day, 4 more people have invited themselves, which means now I'm having a proper slumber party. When I come home, my dad is excited, but also surprised, and maybe also relieved, because I think that he was like, wow, there's a large group of girls who wants to come over here and spend the night with you. That's good. It also means that maybe you're getting a little less weird, and that's also good. He didn't say any of that to me. He was just really supportive. So we start getting ready for this slumber party. He lets me get like the really good cookies at the grocery store, the ones with the plastic clamshell, and then we go to the gas station, and he lets me pick out some snacks and drinks, and he lets me pick out 2 3-foot-long incense sticks, the ones that are like the diameter of cigarettes, and I pick out 2 scents, blueberry, and the other one was called Sex Addiction. And I'm really excited to find out what that smells like, and I'm also very excited to share it with my friends, but my dad tells me I'm not allowed to tell them what it's called. That's okay, compromises were made. We set up the sunroom so that's where the slumber party is going to happen. It has a big glass sliding door that overlooks the backyard, and then there is like a walkway from the kitchen. There's like brown carpet, and that's where we're gonna hang out. So we all are there, the girls come, and I'm like, here's my chance. We're going to convert school friends into out of school friends. And I'm feeling pretty confident because they've been egging me on and letting me talk about all kinds of weird shit at school. So we're at the slumber party, we're all hanging out, we're sitting, and it starts to get dark. And the only light is the porch light, and so the trees are kind of green, and then there's a light in the kitchen, and it's sort of like it sort of is lightly illuminating it, but we're pretty much sitting in the dark, and we're all telling really scary stories to each other. And finally, Caroline goes up to me, and she goes, "Rachel Ann, I bet you have the scariest story." And I was like, oh, my moment to shine. So I look at all of them, and I go, "If I tell you this story, you can never repeat it, or you'll die." I look each of them in the eye, and I make them promise that they will never repeat the story. Voices are trembling, but they're also excited. And then I get my voice low, and I look at them and I go, "My dad murdered a girl and buried her right out there." The minute it exits my mouth, I know I've overshot. I've gone too far. Too scary. You see, for me, the idea that at any moment we could die was the scariest thing I could think of. I had been facing mortality, thinking about mortality, unpacking it, and as someone who had a sibling die at home, is that I was grappling with this reality that we die. We fucking die. We're all gonna die. It's the one thing we all have in fucking common. The slumber party wasn't the time to unpack that. And it was made much worse when, in about 10 minutes, my dad comes in the doorway and, meaning to be supportive, says, "I hope you all aren't having too much fun." But my dad can be a little monotone, and he's got a big mustache, and he was backlit by the kitchen light. And it comes out, "I hope you all aren't having too much fun." At this point, girls are crying. A couple phone calls are made, 2 girls go home. The rest stick it out, but there's tension. On Monday, I go back to school, and I'm alone at the cafeteria table. People are inviting themselves to my house, but not in that I want to be friends with you kind of way, but in that your house is haunted, you're spooky kind of way. But I'm not too sad about it. I'm actually relieved. It was too much fucking pressure to try to entertain all these people. I really needed to kind of like do my own dark shit alone. I couldn't support all of their conversion to this macabre lifestyle. Could not do it. And it was a relief. And I actually ended up making some friends that I'm still friends with to this day. So if there's ever a testament to be yourself, I mean, here it is. There are people out there for everyone, surprisingly. I had completely forgotten this story until recently when I was at the grocery store, and this girl ran into me and she goes, "Hey, I was at that slumber party at your house." And she goes, "That was the scariest night of my life." And here's the thing, she was not confident that my dad was not a murderer. So we'll use this as an opportunity to confirm that he did not murder a girl and bury her in the backyard of my childhood home. I also should mention that we did burn the incense at the party, and sex addiction smells like motor oil and suntan lotion, which is important to know. I also have to say that my dad is here tonight. It is his birthday. Please stand up, Dad. And he didn't know that I told that story. Thank you so much.